watching a global celebration of all things Notre Dame, where we invite you to watch, connect, give, and vote. This is Notre Dame Day, live from the LaFortune Student Center.
We'll also be revisiting some of the great interviews and performances that we had earlier in our broadcast. Coming up, we'll be hearing from Erin Hoffmann Harding, the Vice President for Student Affairs. We'll also have an exclusive interview with former Notre Dame All-American women's basketball star Ruth Riley, and an inspirational visit with Fighting Irish hockey goalie and Notre Dame senior Joe Rogers.
But first, let's take a look at this story about Notre Dame's alumnus astronaut Mike Good.
4, 3, 2, 1, and liftoff of Space Shuttle Atlantis.
When the Space Shuttle Atlantis lifted off May 11, it carried a part of Notre Dame with it. Astronaut Mike Good, a 1984 and 86 graduate, had packed a Notre Dame banner to take toward the heavens. As a mission specialist on NASA's final trip to the Hubble telescope, this was Good's first trip into space. He and the crew spent 11 days chasing Hubble and making 5 spacewalks to repair the 19-year-old telescope. Now it will be 90 times more powerful and should function for another 5 to 10 years. Good was graduated through Notre Dame's ROTC program in 1984 with a degree in aerospace engineering and earned a master's degree in the same field from the university in 1986.
I was in engineering, but made the decision to go into aerospace engineering in 1981, which was the first year that the space shuttle flew. So that definitely had an influence on me too. It was like, I watched that and said, you know, this is something that I'd like to be a part of.
A colonel in the Air Force, he flew F-111s before being selected by NASA in 2000. When asked about the risk involved in space travel, Good said he believes it's a risk worth taking.
I think that great nations explore. Great nations don't, you know, turn inside, they turn outside and they look outside. And part of that is exploring space.
The one thing I notice is different about aerospace engineers is they're really passionate about flight, whether it be airplane or space. For them to succeed in our program requires, you know, strong math and science skills, and many of them at Notre Dame in particular come in with a very strong skill set.
The first Notre Dame graduate to fly aboard the space shuttle was James Weatherby, class of 1974. And Notre Dame graduate Kevin Ford, class of 1982, will serve as the pilot of the Space Shuttle Discovery on a mission scheduled for August this year.
We're really proud of all our aerospace engineers who've gone on to become astronauts, and really excited to have 3 in the current corps.
In a letter to the university, Good said, "It will truly be an honor to take a piece of the university along with me as I realize my dream of flying in space. There were so many people at ND that made it possible. I can honestly say that my dream to be an astronaut was born at Notre Dame."
I've had a chance to visit with Kevin, or with Mike rather, while he has been on campus a couple of times. Just a great guy, a wonderful representative of the university and the College of Engineering. Now it's time to check in with our Notre Dame Day reporter and soon-to-be Notre Dame graduate, Matt McCurdy. Matt, tell us where you're at.
Thank you, Dennis. I'm here at Stinson Remick Hall with some of Professor Schaefer's College of Engineering students. They're here burning the midnight oil to finish their final projects. Here we have Angie and Jane. What have you guys been working on tonight?
So we're working on a high-tech garage door opener that will interface with your smartphone.
Cool. Can you show us a little bit how it works?
Yeah, sure, definitely. So the goal is for the user to be able to interact with their garage door via their cell phone. So up here on my phone, I have an app that controls the whole system. You can see here. So first thing I can do is check the status of my door, and it tells me that the door is closed and that therefore my family is safe.
And this is all simulated with our mini garage door right here.
So now if I decide that I want to open the door, I go ahead and I push this big open button. And then the motor will begin to open the door, which right now, just the motor button.
And what was your motivations behind doing this project?
Basically, more and more people are using their garage doors as a sense of security, and being able to check to make sure that it is closed when you think it is closed is a good thing to have.
All right. Thanks, ladies. Casey, what have you got here for your team?
Hi. We have a robot that is going to be put in the sewer tunnels and steam tunnels around South Bend, and the goal of this robot is to search for cracks and different things that could be causing issues with the different pipes.
Okay. Can you show us a little bit how it's supposed to work?
Yeah, so once we get everything connected, there's going to be a big glass dome on top here with the camera, and everything's going to be controlled from a truck outside of the tunnel area, so it'll be lowered into the tunnel, and remotely you'll be able to control it and see the video live and also save the video and hopefully find some cracks.
And what were your motivations behind this project?
This was presented as an idea to our class from a City of South Bend engineer. He talked about some issues that they had with their current processes, and he suggested another bigger robot that they needed to search the larger pipes they had, and so we wanted to help solve their problem there.
What kinds of things you got going on inside here?
Well, right now it opens up now. We're working on connecting all of our boards and motors and batteries, and then eventually we'll get to the wheels and to the camera. So we got a long way to go, but.
All right, when's the project due?
Friday.
All right. Good luck. All right, and now we're over to Kelsey and her team. This looks pretty impressive over here. Tell me about this.
All right, so this mechanism is basically a painting mechanism, or to simulate painting, I should say. And so by using a joystick that Sarah has over there, we can control the motors going back and forth and drag the pen across the paper to make a picture. That's basically the essence of it.
Does it work? Keisha? And what were your motivations behind choosing this project?
Actually, we have a local organization called ADEC, which is a community center for disabled persons, and they provide therapy for these persons. And so one of the things that they do is art therapy. And what they would like to do is be able to have their clients do this on their own, and so not have to have someone else helping them. And so their idea was to have this paint by joystick mechanism. And so we took that and tried to implement it in the system.
Can you show us how the joystick works over here? Can we get a closer look at that?
So, forward, sideways, and eventually we'll have the up-down motion available.
All right, so you still have some work to do too. As you can see, there are tons of other students in this class and finishing up their final projects for this coming Friday. Now back to you in the studio, Claire.
Thank you, Matt. Now, let's learn how a Notre Dame engineering professor and students are conducting research to analyze how students' phone habits and usage affect their face-to-face communications.
So the purpose of this project was to study how freshmen, and particularly young people, use their cell phones. Sprint provided us 200 phones for the study in conjunction with a grant from the National Science Foundation. What we use is these Android phones, and what we do is we monitor where your location is through Wi-Fi, a bit of GPS. We also use Bluetooth to figure out how close you are to other participants in the study. We want to watch what you're doing, not the content, but we want to see how you use it. Look at who's nearby when you communicate. Think about if you're in class, do you use your phone differently versus when you're hanging out with your friends.
The most exciting thing is by analyzing the data on the phone, we can understand people's behavior on those phones and the trend. We can estimate their preference on the phone.
And what we do is we monitor how you communicate to study both how it applies in terms of engineering, how are you going to use the phone, how do you consume data, but also from a sociological perspective, how do you make and keep friends? So there's an interesting sort of question of, even though it seems to be much more shallow to everyone there, are you actually a better friend because I'm communicating with you more often? How does that change maybe how we plan things? If we say I have a Notre Dame football game, how much cell coverage do I need? I see a great video. Do I pass my phone to my friends for them to look at? Or do they download it on their phone because they saw it on Facebook? All of these things have very profound meanings for how we design the next generation wireless network, but also just thinking from a general sociological perspective. How does pervasive networking change how we make and keep friends?
Welcome back. Earlier in the broadcast, Erin Hoffmann-Harding, the Vice President for Student Affairs here at the university, shared some insightful thoughts about the residential tradition here at Notre Dame. Let's watch that interview now.
The Notre Dame experience has always been the residential tradition, and we're here to talk about that tonight. We're going to welcome our Vice President for Student Affairs, Erin Hoffmann-Harding. Erin, thanks so much for joining us, and you have some friends to introduce as well.
I do, Abby. I'm really excited to introduce Jackie Picacci from Howard Hall and Jeff Ulrich from Stanford Hall.
Welcome, everyone, and congratulations. You guys are closing on the last couple of weeks of your senior year. How thrilling for you. And nerve-wracking?
Yeah, definitely nerve-wracking, I guess. This is my second senior year. I'm a fifth-year senior, but
well
exciting
played.
once again.
Very well played. I need to talk to you after this. I'm thinking maybe 9 years out. Do you think I could wrangle another year out?
Oh, yeah.
All right, good to know.
I mean, this is my first time around, but I'm excited and nervous at the same time. Everybody's telling me to just take it all in, but it's happening so fast.
It happens fast, and then 10 years from now, you're going to wonder where the last 10 years went. It is incredible how it all flies by, and you can certainly speak to that. And Erin, you know this residence life very well, not just from your current position, but from a student here. You tell us a little bit about your experience. What dorm were you in?
Yeah, I'm a 97 grad, Abby, and I lived in Siegfried Hall, which to our current students is going to sound very strange.
It does sound strange. I'm going to say you have a little bit of explaining to do
I
on
do.
that one.
It's a men's hall these days, and I was in the last graduating class in 1997 when they closed Flanner and Grace Halls. And then we moved all over from Siegfried. After I left, they moved to Welsh Fam.
All right, now you just walk by there and you have an interesting story to tell. And what do you think it is that makes residence life here at Notre Dame so interesting and so different and so special?
I firmly believe it's one of our most distinctive advantages. What we really measure success on is sense of community, and that really goes from everything from the people in the hall, of which our RAs are such a huge and central part. They have, in most cases, lived in their hall for 3 years before they serve it. And so it's really a place where you're known individually and by name.
It really is. I know I was an RA my senior year in Breen Phillips, so I know exactly where you guys are sitting right now. Again, don't quite get the fifth year part. Still so jealous and will be for the rest of the evening here. But you guys have had an amazing experience, I'm guessing. Tell me a little bit about what it's been like spending all 4 years in one place.
I guess I'll start. And so tonight so I'm from Howard Hall, and we had our end of the year banquet, and it was so great to talk about all of the seniors who moved off campus and came back, and the community that we built as a class. So Erin talked about it and how community is so important. And Howard's really small. We only have about 150 girls. And so to know that I'm friends with all of them and know all of them by name is just a really special thing that I don't think a lot of other places have.
I have to agree with that. And there are also some really amazing traditions that we all get to, I'm flashing back to my time here right now, but we have all participated in some amazing residence life traditions here at Notre Dame. Tell me a little bit, Jeff, you had one this weekend.
Yeah, so this weekend there are a couple big events. Muddy Sunday, led by Keenan Hall, and the Fisher Regatta, led by Fisher Hall. I actually wasn't in the regatta this year, but when I was in Knott Hall for 4 years undergrad, I got to be in 2 of the winning boats and on a 20-foot-long surfboard. So I love the Fisher Regatta. The only problem is when your boat doesn't make it and you're swimming in 45-degree water.
And that just gives you a story to tell years later.
That's true.
That one you'll tell your kids someday, no worries. All right, Erin, what was your favorite part about living here on campus?
You know, actually the building we're in, Abby, is one of the things I remember most. So I loved living in Siegfried. I was an accompanist in our hall mass choir. But I spent a lot of time here in La Fortune as the student leader here. And so there were so many nights that I was walking back after midnight, after quarter dogs, and studying with some of my closest friends and just headed back to the hall with friends. And so I think it's the beauty of campus late at night that I always go back to and think of, which is really the lights on and you knew the people when you were walking in those halls and coming home.
It's such an amazing feeling, and walking back on campus, so many people have said welcome home to me the last couple of days, and it's been such a wonderful experience to have, because it really does. It will always feel like coming home. So you have that to look forward to, and years of weddings and celebrations down the road. It'll be a really exciting time. I'm very envious of what you have ahead. And you were talking about quarter dogs. It was my sophomore year they opened the Starbucks here. I don't know if anyone remembers, if you remember life before the Starbucks here, but my flex points were shot like the day it opened. It was a real shame. All right, and so you said you have a background in music here.
I do.
All right, tell us a little bit about your experience.
Oh, sure. I actually sang in the liturgical choir while I was here as well, which is one of our campus ministry choirs. And so every 10 a.m. Mass at the Basilica got to be up in the loft, which was such a special experience, and actually was responsible for my first trip abroad when I was a student here. We went to Rome, and we had a chance to sing then for Pope John Paul in St. Peter's Basilica, which was pretty amazing. So just outside of the classroom, inside of the classroom. I just had such an extraordinary experience as a student here. So in many ways, being in student affairs is a way for me to give back.
And those friends you met in the dorm, are you still in touch with them?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely there and in my different student organizations. They really do stay with you forever. I am the godmother of one of my closest friends' daughters, and so it never leaves you, which is, I think, one of the most beautiful parts about a Notre Dame education.
I know that the email circle that my friends and I had going when we were undergrads here, the 9 of us who lived on one hall in Breen Phillips our freshman year, that email chain is still going. So we're all very fortunate to be able to keep those friendships alive because they do become your family. I don't have any sisters, but that God gave me, but he bestowed upon me several while I was here, which I'm very fortunate for. Well, thank you all so much for joining us. And Jackie and Jeff, good luck to you. You have such an exciting couple of weeks ahead and many, many exciting years and great opportunities to return to campus. Are you going to crank out a 6th year?
I'm hoping to.
All right.
I haven't signed my contract yet.
Well, keep us posted on that. Thank you guys so much.
Welcome back. Now it's time to hear a truly inspiring story from Notre Dame senior and hockey goalie Joe Rogers. He visited the Notre Dame Day set earlier today in this broadcast. Let's take a look.
Not just outstanding music, as we all know how great that song is, especially in the stadium or on the basketball court, but I'm with another outstanding, more than a student athlete, Mr. Joe Rogers, who happens to be a goalie on our hockey team. But you talk about living with no fear. Joe, you were born with no right hand. And all of a sudden, here it is, you're a goalie on the hockey team. How small were you? And obviously running around, crawling, you had no fear as soon as you were born. Let's go for it.
Well, you know, I was really fortunate. My parents and my entire family were so supportive from day one. You know, from the moment I was born, my parents never saw me as different. They were in the hospital room, and one of the nurses said that, "Oh, we have a problem." And my dad looked, did a quick check over, and didn't notice anything. And then did another one after they said, "No, look at his hand." And from that point on, it was kind of the attitude. My parents never saw me as different. They didn't even notice that anything was wrong.
So here you are, a little kid growing up, crawling around. You got guys in the neighborhood. You're playing sports, playing games, and trying to be one of the guys that can participate. How did you get the bug for hockey?
Hockey runs deep in my veins. You know, my dad played and his brothers played. My grandpa coached. My great-grandfather would always plow the river in his backyard for the kids to skate. So it was just meant that I was going to be a hockey player.
All right, so then all of a sudden you decide you want to be a goalie. So you brought your glove. Show me how you wear this glove on your right hand, and obviously you're doing something else with that left hand.
Sure, yeah. So I have a special glove designed by Vaughn Custom Goalie Hockey Manufacturer.
Yeah.
And basically, inside they just have an extra strap placed.
They go around your wrist.
Goes around my wrist. I'm able to tighten it down, tighten this one. And then the rest is the same as any other glove. And I just lace it up. And
you're ready
to go. Ready to go.
And there's something in your left hand. What is that? Besides this microphone?
Yeah, you know, there's a big blocker glove and holding a stick.
And that just puts you in a position to defend the goal.
It sure does.
You also got to know some guy named Jim Abbott, a baseball player who had one arm.
I did. Coincidentally, Jim grew up down the road from me. We're both Michiganders, and from a young age, I had baseball cards of Jim. My parents got them, and I looked to him for inspiration. Growing up, I was able to actually meet Jim, and we've become good friends over the years. And he's been very instrumental in telling me that you can do anything you set your mind to.
How old were you when you met him?
I was 16 when I met him.
Really?
Yeah.
Were you playing hockey then?
I was still playing hockey.
Wow.
I was. Yeah.
And then he gave you that spark to light the fire, like, okay.
Yeah,
Bring it on.
Even before that, I had always been watching him and seeing the good things he'd done, and he had inspired me, and then I was finally able to meet him at 16, and it really just, I knew I was going after something that was worth it.
Why did you pick Notre Dame?
You know, I was looking for a place to combine academics, athletics, and tradition, and Notre Dame just fit the bill.
So there must be some great scrimmages when, as you guys go at it head-to-head, there's no handicap when you're playing.
No.
And they go at it.
Yeah, we definitely go at it. And, you know, it's one of the cool things. I've been able to just play and be who I am. And I get some surprised faces after the game sometimes when I take off my glove and shake hands after the game.
What's it been like for you for 4 years here as a student, knowing that, okay, yeah, you're a hockey player, but that's not the main reason why I'm at Notre Dame?
You know, it's been an incredible experience, and I came pursuing the goal of playing Division I sport. And beyond that, you know, there's such an incredible family and community here at Notre Dame, and that is probably the biggest part, that I've loved it so much and had a great time. And it's just been an incredible experience for 4 years.
I got to read this because you were a nominee for the Mellon Wealth Management Hockey Humanitarian Award for community service.
That's correct.
Okay. What was the community service that you did while you're here at Notre Dame?
There's been several projects that we've been a part of with the hockey team. This year, I was fortunate enough to head up a big project for a group called Hockey Saves. It's a group that allows military members to get on the ice and have some ice time of, they call it Nothing Else Matters, and it's just a way to relieve some stress. And so through the year, we kind of raised awareness for them, and we wore custom jerseys that had Notre Dame, a leprechaun wearing camo fatigues. And after the weekend, we were able to auction them off. And we had a very good turnout. We brought some of the soldiers up from Fort Benning, Georgia, who were able to be here and experience Notre Dame for the weekend.
Did they get fired up about being the Fighting Irish?
They sure did.
Good.
They had an awesome time.
Now that you're going to graduate in a couple of weeks, I understand you may be heading east to New York City to do something?
That's correct. For the first time in my life, I'll be leaving the Midwest.
Wow.
And heading to New York City. I'll be starting my career on Wall Street in July.
Wall Street in July, which means money, money, money. No.
No.
All right, let me throw this at you. You do Wall Street for, say, 3 or 4 years. Then are you thinking about an MBA?
That depends.
Well, you get the company to pay for it.
Yeah,
But then you say,
that's true.
you pay for me to get an MBA, I'll come back and give you 5 years, just like a ROTC military scholarship, right? But the more important thing is, with that MBA and what you learn on Wall Street, now I'm assuming that by the time you're 30, because I put life in decades, your first 2 decades you get a credential, 20 to 30 you go after it, make that dream become a reality, and from 30 to 50 you're going to make it happen. I'm assuming by the time you're 30, aren't you looking to become the president of some organization to take from what you've learned from team sports and leadership into the game of life?
Yeah, absolutely. Some of my long-term goals are to start my own company and be able to take some of the skills I learned here at Notre Dame, leadership and camaraderie, and be able to build something great and give back.
Having what you've been through in your life, obviously at your age now, there's no fear, and there's no such thing as a handicap. What advice can you give to people out there today, no matter what their handicap is, how can you still believe in yourself and go out and win in the game of life?
Well, you know, I like to live by 3 things. You know, one is embrace who you are. The second is always follow your dreams. And the third is to never give up. No matter what life throws at you, there's ups and downs, and it's just how you keep moving forward. And everyone has their struggle, but what makes you a great person is how you fight through that.
Well, Joe, I am going to shake that right hand because I really admire and respect what you've done. And you've got to understand this. This is what Notre Dame's all about. This is the real Notre Dame. When we look at our buddy, Joe, who obviously is one in the game of life, and is going to win on Wall Street and become a legend behind the scenes with that name of Notre Dame behind his credentials. Thank you.
Thank you for having me on. It's been a pleasure.
Welcome back. Now, let's hear from a very special guest, former Notre Dame women's basketball star, Ruth Riley.
You've got another treat for us coming up.
Well, I think there's some player that played here a few years back. I think her name was Ruth Riley. She got in the Ring of Honor. She was on the national championship team. She played in the WNBA, and she's been the first to be named MVP in the NCAA and the WNBA finals. So, Ruth, I know you're on the phone. What keeps you busy these days, Ruthie?
Well, it's great to be on with you guys and celebrating this day. Obviously, great to be a part of this Notre Dame Day. And I am at home in Miami right now.
Excuse us. Can you send some warm weather up?
I would love to. We have a lot to give down here. But my life has been busy more off the court than on the court these days, just working with the NBA and working with my nonprofit over in South Africa and with the UN Foundation. And so just working this transition as I end my career and enter into life after basketball here in the near future.
What inspired you after basketball to become part of this NBA Global Ambassadors?
Well, I've just been, I think, my gratitude to the people who've helped me, and just grateful for what I've been given and want to use the platform that I have through sport to help others, and especially when it comes to global health and education for women and children. Those are the issues that I'm most passionate about. And sports, I think it's an avenue that is easy to cross over a lot of different barriers. And when I travel, I may not be able to speak their language, but you get on the court and these kids just have a great time, and you're able to impact their lives. And I absolutely love that.
When you go back and look at what happened this season for the Lady Irish, 4 straight Final Fours, in this year the championship game, and of course when Ace got hurt, that was a big setback. But what did you think of the program and what they did accomplish this year?
Oh my gosh, I'm so proud of our girls. Just blessed to be a small part of where our program has come, and 4 straight Final Fours it's a rare feat. And for Kayla and the senior class going out to be able to accomplish that, and just really grateful for what my time with Notre Dame and with Coach McGraw, and have so much respect for her as a coach and what she's done with the program.
Let's go back 13 years ago.
Uh-oh.
You are standing at the free throw line. Game's tied with 5.8 seconds left and the national championship on the line. What is going through your mind before you take those free throws?
I've been asked this question a few times over the years, and first I'm just glad they called the foul.
Yes.
The line, having the opportunity to shoot a couple of free throws, and honestly, at that moment, you're just thinking, all right, what are my mechanics of a free throw? And I'm not thinking of the magnitude of the situation. I'm just, for me, it was just telling myself, going through my normal routine of how I would shoot a free throw, and just focusing on the small details, and the big picture kind of took care of itself.
When you look at winning that national championship and you look back at your time at Notre Dame as a student athlete, what are you most thankful for?
Well, I've been so blessed, and I love all that Notre Dame embodies. As a student athlete, I enjoyed my experience there, and the opportunity to win a national championship, and for that to be my last game in Notre Dame jersey, is something absolutely special, and I will always cherish. But I think more than that, as I've gone on to play professionally and traveled around the world, I've been able to interact with the Notre Dame family on a global scale, and it's just something that other colleges don't have, and I don't say that in a pretentious way, but our Notre Dame family is just something unique, and I've just been blessed to be one member of this great family.
If you look at your journey the last 13 years, and you mentioned the Notre Dame network, if you could look down the road 5 years from now, 10 years from now, what would you like to accomplish?
Well, that's a great question. I definitely want to go back into the humanitarian space with more time devoted to that. I love my work with the UN Foundation and with the NBA on a global scale, and I see myself also investing in sports marketing, especially as somebody who's been on the union for our players, and continuing to make our league progress and sustainable. Having the opportunity to play professional basketball here in the United States is something that I've loved, and I want to continue to grow that for the girls coming up behind me.
Well, Ruth, thanks so much for joining us on Notre Dame Game Day, but to me, you've always been a special person, and you really typify what a Notre Dame student athlete should be, not just during your college career or WNBA career, but your life after basketball. And we're all proud of you here at Notre Dame. Thanks for being a part of this.
Thanks so much, Digger.
Welcome back. Before we wrap up our live telecast for this hour we're going to check in with our reporter, Claire Rembecki, at the Notre Dame Day Social Media Command Center. Claire.
Thanks, Dennis. I'm here right now with Jonathan and Stanton here in the social media headquarters. Jonathan, Stanton, walk us through what's going on right now with social media.
Hey, Claire, thanks. Thanks to all of you watching. We know it's early here in the United States, but we've got current viewers right now. Big shout out to our fans in Malaysia, in Thailand, in China. We're so glad you're with us here on Notre Dame Day. Thanks to everybody who's made a gift and made their votes. There's still plenty of time in the broadcast, but now is a better time than ever to make your gift and vote. We could show you how over here, like we do every hour, NotreDameDay.nd.edu. Hit that big green give and vote button. You'll be able to choose where you want your gift directed. Then you'll be able to make your 3 votes. So check it out right now, NotreDameDay.nd.edu. We got 21 hours, 28 minutes left in the broadcast, so we need your support right now. What's happening on social media? Well, let's take a look here. Jacob Stanton, Roars was not prepared for 100-plus students at the Notre Dame Day Happy Hour, advertising free food, cheap drinks, but ran out of both in 30 minutes. Interesting, but very glad we had a great turnout at Roars. What else do we have here? Also, they say at Notre Dame, tradition never graduates, and it's true because we were having quarter dogs just now, just like I did back in the day, and all of you watching, I'm sure, had the quarter dogs back in the day. They're still having them. Glad to have you guys here. Our social ambassadors, we've shown you this heat map before. We have ambassadors all over the world, and we're so glad all of you have joined us. We hope all of you are going to participate in Notre Dame Day. Glad to have you for sure. Let's take a look at our leaderboards. Swirl over this way. 939 gifts so far, thanks to everybody. $500,000 raised, amazing. We're keeping these hats on until we hit 1,000. So you see Claire has her hat on, for sure. And I want to leave you all with the end of this hour with one of our colleagues here on the Proud to BND team, Amy Schell. She has some terrific kids who are so excited about Notre Dame Day. Let's play this video. You won't be able to hear the audio, but they were thrilled. Thrilled that it's Notre Dame Day. They're doing their Irish jig. They've got way too much caffeine. Look at that. So get excited like them. Get out there, make your gift and vote. And what's coming up in the next hour?
All right, well, thank you, Jonathan. Coming up next hour, we have some replays. We've got some football players here, Chris Watt, Zach Martin, and Tommy Reeves. We're going to go with them, hear what they have to say. Also, Notre Dame men's soccer national champions. We'll have a replay from an interview with them earlier. We'll also have a performance by Santiago and the Natural from earlier today. And we'll have a feature on the School of Architecture. So, just like Jonathan said, keep those donations coming, keep those gifts coming. Until then, I guess we might dance like those kids. We're pretty excited. To the top of the next hour.